had just been so heated all season long. Not to say in a negative way, but just like we just kept lining up, right? And it's just funny how that happens. Like there's like these seasons where you just keep seeing the same guy. And so start running through the event, and yeah, we get to top 16, sun drops, course tightens up. Irwindale is this type of track where we come in all guns blazing and just really kind of going, when I say checkers or wreckers, I mean, it really comes true at Irwindale because I've crashed there more times than all other tracks combined because it's like just kind of going for it. So Vaughn, he has a mechanical and crashes out in top 32 against Pat, which I fully thought I was gonna have to run Vaughn in top 16, and same thing, like whoever wins is maybe gonna go on and get the whole thing. That's in my mind, and so when he gets knocked out, it's like, cool, now it's just Osbo. And so it's just like off the list. But when I'm lined up with Pat, they come over and basically mention like, oh, the nitrous isn't working, like, so we're kind of down on power. We are talking, we're like, okay, well, what do we do? Like, should we, loosen up the car? Should we this, should we that? And we're like, well, my car's running awesome and it's super fast, let's just like take a little grip out. So we take just like a little bit of grip out, which is probably was only enough to really make the change from day to night, and not really enough to make the change from day to night and a slow car. The car just felt super tight behind him, and we come through the start finish cone, and we're kind of like surging up on him as we transfer back. Like I'm basically full brakes trying to stay off of his car, because like that's like where our car is the fastest, is from the start finish to that lower bank. We're basically surging in on him way too hard. I get on the brakes, which just opens up the radius, and then crank the outside wall and smoke the whole car off. And I'm just like, cool. I just threw it away, right? Like Osbo's gonna go and get his championship. Drag the car off the wall, and I'm just like, whatever, like here we go again. Go back and have to sit and watch the event unfold. I definitely will say that I did not think that Matt had it in him. Not because I didn't think he could win the event, but he knew the stakes. He knew that if like he beat him, I won. If he lost, Osbo would win, and this, that, and the other. And it's funny because like they go out and they do their runs, and like he totally nailed it. He was on one that night and went on to win the whole event. It was awesome. And of course, like after he wins, like, I run over to him. I mean, I went to Osbo as well, and we congratulated each other and hugged and all that. It was good runs. But, I go to Matt and I was like, you son of a bitch, and he was just like, I told you I got you, just like typical Matt Field, like I'm gonna go win this whole event type mentality. And I was like, you freaking, go do that, He was like, just like, he was more hyped up than I think I was. He knew that he played a major role in that, and you could see that he was like, because he just came off the win in Texas, and he's like, I'm winning here tonight, and then he did. That was like a whole different Matt than I've seen ever before, and so it was cool to see that. And of course I was, favoring Matt, but like I feel like the first one like could have been called, but since it was so close, like there's like high stakes on the line, it's kind of like the same old, well, like let's get a clear winner scenario. And yeah, then Osbo made a little mistake, surprisingly. I was definitely more happy with 16 than I was in 14, because 14 was just kind of carried that same attitude like the whole season long, like we're here to win a championship and that's it. And like 16 was just like, it was just like reaffirming we're just a good team, good driver, good car, good setup, good whatever. What was cooler to me than just that, the third championship, was that we just went 4 years in a row in the top three, finishing second, first, third, and first, which no one's really ever done that, especially up until that point. I mean, when you're talking about the three championships, like I almost more so look at the top finishes. And so at that point, in 14 years, we finished in the top three 8 times. So more than half of the seasons of FD, we've been in the top 3. And then outside of that, only finishing outside of top 6 2 times. Like you gotta get good finishes all year long, finish well overall. Like you can't just have like a roller coaster of a season and expect to do well. The mentality of adjusting and adapting and getting as far as you can every time. Even if the car has an issue, or like you're not feeling up to it, like you got personal stresses, like stuff outside of the car, or if the car's not performing, or if, like whatever the case is, even if like you're physically ill, it's like you just have to like get in there and get as far as you can every time.
Chris has had such a storied career. There's so many different endpoints you could pick up on to highlight. I think one of the things that I cherish most about his involvement in the sport is, being an ambassador for the sport of drifting, and also being somebody that helps other people. I mean, one thing that people don't really know that much, because it doesn't get a lot of press, is that Chris and his team are some of the first to loan out parts to help drivers with their setups. There's a very famous scene, a funny one. couple of years ago in Road Atlanta with Kristaps Blues. Kristaps was, timing down on a competition timeout and it needed to get this tire off to get back on. It was up on jack stands. If you look at the shot that we presented there and you look off just to the right, the team that's helping Kristaps make it through that 5-minute call is Chris's team. Kristaps ends up blowing off the jack stands, becomes like a really famous moment in the live stream. But that's just emblematic of what I've seen over the years. He has been able to have a fine balance of being a tough competitor and strong and knowing what needs to get done, but at the same time understands the big picture of what's going on here, and that the sport as a whole is an important thing, that you have to treat it like anything else that you love and enjoy. It's got to be nourished, it's got to be taken care of properly, and Chris has done a good job with that over his career.
The competitive side of the series now is out of control. There are so many drivers that are capable of winning a championship, and the fact that James did it 3 years in a row is insane. I mean, that's a complete feat in itself to come in from another series. He has so much competitive driving time, if you will, just like driving all these different series where he's always running door to door in competition mode. That's just how he operates. And you can see that at the track where he is just like, from the first run to the last run, he's running perfect and smooth and ready to win the event. And yes, people are like kind of closing that gap in and beating them here and there, and that's cool to see, because like we talked about, the underdog comes in, everyone's rooting for him, and then now 3 championships later, like you're seeing like a lot of like hate towards James, which is unfortunate because it happened very quickly for him. And so, but in the end, it's the most competitive driving I've ever seen. Everyone is absolutely door to door all the time. For us to still be able to go out there and run and podium and finish in like the top 5, 16 years later, is pretty awesome. Of course we want to win championships. Like, we're not going to come out to FD and not try and win a championship. And I was really looking forward to this season because we had 2 new tracks, and I was like, car's feeling awesome. It's like really dialed. The engine program is out of control. We were really feeling confident coming into this season. And not to say I'm not anymore, but it's now just completely uprooted. And so once again, it's like, who can adapt? And so maybe we'll adapt even better than just to 2 out of 8 tracks. And this new format of no qualifying, only tandem, focusing on getting good as quick as possible. And it's funny, like we always laugh, like our best runs is like the first and second pass off the trailer every weekend, every time. Because it's the only time where we're not as focused on the track. It's just like, okay, go like feel out the car, feel out the track. Dust it off, clean it up, warm it up. It's like, okay, go feel it out, see how the car feels, see how the track feels. And like, you're just out there just driving for yourself, essentially. You're not driving for the fans, you're not driving against anyone, you're not driving for the judges, and just like lay it down. And so from there, like, you just start like nitpicking every little aspect to get the competitive edge. And so that's like where like you'll kind of start to make mistakes. Of course it can get better, but you just start over dissecting the run. And so, yeah, so we have typically shined in times of little practice, kind of being thrown like into the fire head first, and just figure it out. Yeah, I don't know, just to me it's another year, and we're just gonna go out there and give it the best we can. Outside of what we obviously do here, we built this garage, and it was specifically for the builds and doing content, because it's become such an important part of the whole program. It's not just about going out and racing like it was 10 years ago and just getting results. Now it is having to wear multiple hats, and not just talking about sponsorships. It's like being not just a team owner, manager, but now like a shop manager, and also helping with working on the car physically. Even this year, everything that's going on, I had to put more hours into the race car than I ever have, and not say ever, but like in the past like 10 years, because my crew's not here and they can't get here. And so if and when this car breaks, they're gonna be yelling at me. So That's like something that's new and different for this year, is like having to be a little more hands-on with the car. But then, yeah, as far as like the builds and the videos and daily content creation, even on just like the Instagram and like the story side, that's what's the most engaging. And so showing what you're doing daily and, you know, being that influencer or that, you know, provider of content, however you want to break that down. I don't like to use the word influencer, but just because I'm just still doing the same things I've ever done. I'm just now turning my phone, you know, on and showing it. Like, we've always been building cars, we've always been having fun, and now it's just showcasing it as much as possible in a setting that really shows kind of how far we've come. I mean, there's definitely times where there's certain people that you see, like same thing like with like Kristaps or like Matt Field, you know, in certain years where you're friends with this person, you see potential in this person, but you know they're fighting an uphill battle. And I've been there, you know, just showing up with a knife to a gunfight in Formula Drift years back. There's only so much one guy can do. You see problem, like you run over and offer to help. And then yeah, like back in the pits, you know, like we always laugh that like I'm a gear chart like Rolodex, you know, like people come by, you got a 329, you got a 427, you know, and just like, yeah, here you go, you know, and like it's fine, because in my opinion, or I guess my theory is, you know, it's just like golden rule mentality. It's like I help anyone that comes by if I can, because I would hope that if I ever needed a part that they would help me. Early 2018 year, I was approached by the LA Sports Walk of Fame, which is it's like a walk of fame, if you will, down in San Pedro, which is specifically for athletes and, you know, people that have just been monumental in not just, you know, stick and ball sports, but in like Olympics and things like that, and mostly centered around the Southern California culture. The organization kind of recognized me as, you know, being part of the SoCal family, like, because I came here to chase a dream of being a race car driver, and you know, having success at Long Beach and being at all the Long Beach events, you know, since day one, and, you know, earning my championships and basically all my accolades while being a resident of SoCal, if you will. They saw that, and myself, along with 2 other drivers and riders, we were the first motorsports athletes to be inducted in the Sports Walk. That's a good finish, I think.